And just like that, the next episode has begun. Welcome back to Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. I'm your host, MegaShadowFist. I suck at commentary, clearly, because I can't enunciate for anything. And when we last left off, we were sort of in a pickle here. We're trying to figure out how exactly Mr. Swallow was killed. So, without further ado. So, how exactly was Mr. Swallow killed? If I could somehow establish how it was done, maybe I could still come out of this mess smelling like a rose. Diss the rose, perhaps? Establish murder method. Your Honor! Yes, Miss Faye? I believe that if we were to piece together everything we've heard up until now, we should be able to solve the mystery of how Mr. Swallow died. That would be the most impressive!
Quite the brash statement coming from a rookie! But even a beginner like you must understand the basic rules of the court, yes? An attorney must be able to substantiate their arguments with evidence!
Of course I know that. Actually, I had totally forgotten about that. Now then, Miss Faye, let me see what you've got. Why don't we save first? You know, just in case we make a mistake or something, even though we'd have to make like 5 mistakes in order to get to a point where we'd have to load a save, but still, it doesn't matter. Now then, Miss Faye, let me see what you've got. Show me how you believe the victim was electrocuted. Why don't we just use the first crime photo? Like, what else will we use? The poles, there's like electric wires, like, all like, psss, you know, like, let me show you. See how they're all like, psss, right? So, like, that's how he died. So, here we go, present. As for the cause of death, I'd say this picture captures it quite well. What? But there is nothing that even remotely resembles a murder weapon here. I'm afraid the defense is going to have to explain this in a bit more detail. Miss Faye, where exactly in this photo is the murder weapon? Right there, of course. Are you frickin'... I mean, this is the judge, so I'm not surprised. Well, naturally, it's right here! That's... What is that? A severed electric cable! I believe, Your Honor. Remember the testimony we've heard? The machines that pharmacology students use in their experiments require high voltage. And because of that, there are special high voltage cables strung up everywhere. So then, the high voltage cable... Yes, the high voltage cable is the cause of death. That is the most likely explanation. That certainly sounds plausible. Well, Mr. Payne, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I believe some praise is in order.
Don't toy with me, old man.
Now, the victim's cause of death may indeed have been a high voltage cable. Excuse me. However, I want you to think about what that really implies. The only one who had the opportunity to use that cable as a murder weapon was...
Really? I just consider that to be a bit of a stretch, even for, like, Ace Attorney. Actually, no. When we think about it, think about the frickin'... You know, if we could have a bust of Mass Elastica fall down, have the cape fly over and attach to it, then I guess anything is possible. The defendant! Achoo! That much is certainly true.
Yes, and that's not all. We have proof! Irrefutable proof that will establish that Mr. Wright was the murderer!
You do? Well, what is it?
His fingerprints!
Fingerprints? You mean that the defendant's fingerprints were on something besides the medicine bottle?
Let's, take another look at the crime scene photo.
Oh, there's an umbrella.
And as you can see, the victim is wearing a leather jacket. And as you may know, leather holds fingerprints quite well.
Ah, you mean...
Yes, it was quite clearly imprinted on the chest area of the victim's jacket. The paw print of the defendant's very own hand.
What?
I can only think of one way Mr. Wright could have left a print like that. Intent on murder, he squarely punched the victim towards the severed electric cable.
Alright. Order! That is enough! I think we can conclude that there is no reason to continue with this cross-examination. Stick a fork in us, we're done. Mr. Grossberg! My hemorrhoids never lie. The show is over, Mia. I knew that boy was guilty the first time I saw him. But you suck as a lawyer, man. No, you're wrong. Mr. Wright is innocent. No further evidence is required to convince me of this man's guilt. Your Honor! At this time, I am prepared to render a verdict in this case. Hold it! Do you have something further to add, Miss Faye? Is this what you want, Mr. Wright? You still haven't told us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you don't say something now, the judge is going to hand down his verdict. But I can't! I just can't say it! If I told you what really happened, then I'd be... It's okay, Mr. Wright. I'm your attorney. You can trust me. Miss Faye, no matter what it is you have to say, I believe in you and I'll represent you to the very end.
We've already established the defendant's guilt! There's no further need for him to say anything!
Wait a minute! Mr. Wright, I'll tell you what really happened.
But I've already told you, Mr. Wright! There's no need for further...
I did it. I admit it, I pushed him! It's my fault. My fault that Doug Swallow is dead! That girl, you shouldn't see her anymore. Hey, it's none of your business! I'm telling you for your sake, if you continue to see her, it's going to be bad news. You're lying! Just listen to me. There's something you need to know about that girl. Stop it! Don't talk about her like that! What you just said, was that the truth? Yes, I was afraid that if I told the truth, everyone would think I was the murderer for sure. Well, as things currently stand, we're absolutely convinced you are. Please give me one more chance to explain. This time I swear I'll tell the whole truth. It'll be okay, won't it, Miss Faye? I believe in you. Oh, thank you. I still can't believe it. He really did push the victim. It feels like my hemorrhoids are doing the Harlem Shake. When I pushed the victim, that guy, he was talking bad about Dolly. I lost my temper and gave him a shove. At that moment, I heard some kind of loud noise. A little while after I left, I started to get worried. So I went back, but he was just laying there, dead.
Well, that explanation's really quite simple. When you pushed him, Mr. Swallow flew back and touched the electrical cable. He died from the shock, and that is, as they say, is that.
A simple explanation indeed.
At the time of the incident, a light rain had been falling. Wet from the rain, the victim was more easily electrocuted.
But when I pushed him, there weren't any electrical cables nearby. If there had been something like that, even I would have noticed it. That's true. Even a doofus like him couldn't miss that. Hey, don't call me a doofus. Miss Faye? Let me warn you right now that if your cross-examination doesn't yield any new facts, I intend to deliver my verdict without any further delay. I'll be clear on that. Yes, Your Honor. Don't give up, Mia. If he is innocent, there must be some kind of evidence somewhere that will prove it. Cross-examination when I push the victim. Okay, let's go ahead and save. Why don't we? Yes, we need to save, of course. Why else would we not need to save of saving and continuing where we left off in the saving and the from save point? Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about. That guy, he was talking bad about Dolly. Oops. We're supposed to cross-examine that, or press, I should say. That guy, he was talking bad about Dolly. So what kinds of things did Mr. Swallow say to you? He said all sorts of terrible things about Dolly! He said that she was a bad girl! Is that all?
Yep.
Well, Miss Faye, you heard him yourself. Oh boy, you're not doing yourself any favors here, Mr. Wright. Please don't make this harder for me than it already is. Anyway, after he said that, I lost my temper and gave him a shove. Can you tell me about what happened in a little more detail? That guy, he just said what he wanted to say to me. And then he put on the jacket he was holding and started to leave. Oh, that's right, he's supposed to be British, isn't he? So, like, shouldn't I give him, like, an English accent or something? I didn't even think about that. That's when I lost my temper and flew into a furious frenzy. I just gave him a light, gentle shove to the chest. Apparently, it knocked him out, so either he has, like, a heart problem, like he's, like... Anyway. And when did you do that? There was no severed cable anywhere to be seen. And when you did that. Right! There was nothing like that at all!
But is it possible that you merely overlooked it?
Well, I guess it's possible.
What are you doing? Don't let that guy steamroll over you like cheap asphalt!
I believe what's important here is the moment the push occurred. Let's continue on with the testimony, witness. At that moment, I heard some kind of loud noise. A loud noise? And what would you say that loud noise was, Mr. Wright? I'm not sure, but it was really loud. It was like snap! You know, come to think of it, I wonder what that was.
Clearly, Your Honor, it was the sound of the victim being electrocuted!
You're not qualified to decide that! What should I do? I'm treading on some dangerous ground here. Ask for more details. Mr. Wright, that loud noise you heard may be extremely important, so try to remember what it was. How do I put it? It was like a sharp crack. Aha! Could it have been... Yes? Could it have been... Hurry up and tell us! When I pushed him, he dropped the umbrella he was holding. That's what I was thinking. He fell right on top of it and it broke. That was probably the noise I heard. An umbrella, huh? And did that umbrella belong to the victim? Yeah, it was a plastic umbrella, cheap and frill, kind of like the owner. Then again, I wish I had any kind of umbrella. I was totally soaked to the bone. Miss Faye, what do you think? Is there something important in that testimony just now? Well, of course it's important. This is it, Mia, the new information you've been waiting for. Of course it's important. No, this cheap umbrella is more than important, it's vital. I want to officially have it entered to the testimony.
Ha! How perfectly fitting! Flimsy information for a flimsy lawyer!
The court agrees with the defense's request. Witness, please add the bit about the cheap umbrella to your testimony. After I shoved him, he fell down on top of his cheap umbrella. We'll press that last. Before we do that, we'll press everything else first. A little while after I left, I started to get a little worried. After you shoved the victim, did you leave the scene right away? Yes, I did. I admit it, I was furious.
You left without even checking Mr. Swallow's condition?
Well, yeah, but like I said, I got worried about him later. So I went back, but he was just laying there, dead. At the time, did you see anyone else at the scene of the crime? Nope. Nobody. Jeez, could that stupid cop possibly sound any phonier? In that case, it's very hard to believe someone else could have been the murderer. Unless we can find something that shows his innocence for the testimony, my dear. I'm afraid the judge will make his final decision with no remorse whatsoever. Yes, sir. Right now I need more info. Info that will help me turn up some contradictions. That guy, he was talking about Dolly, man. Like, you don't talk about Dollface like that, man. Like, how dare you talk about Dolly Hawthorne? Like, honestly, she kind of looked like Madeline Guard a little bit, didn't she? Let me look at a picture of her. Like, I don't know, maybe it was just the hair. Let's look at this. Not really. I don't know why I thought of Madame Guard, but I mean, she doesn't really look like, or Dahlia, she doesn't really look like a very trustworthy person to me. She kind of looks like, I guess I'm just like stereotyping her here, but she kind of has a very bad girl look to her, like, I don't know, something about her just comes across as, like, bad to me. I lost my temper, I gave him a shove. After I shoved him, he fell on top of his cheap umbrella. Let's go ahead and press this. So, Mr. Swallow fell on top of his umbrella, and you are certain of this? Yeah, I was right there under him. It was right there under him. Actually, if it hadn't been under him, I was planning on borrowing it for myself. The umbrella, you mean? Well, yeah, you see I was wearing the sweater here. Dolly stayed up late for nights at a time knitting it for me. I didn't want the rain to dampen the handmade symbol of her love. My stomach is not to be used as your personal soccer ball, Mia. I'm so sorry. Continue on with your testimony, witness. Okay, a little while after I left, after I shoved him, he fell down on top of his cheap umbrella. Like, I didn't catch this at first, but Phoenix? Why are you being a lying sack of shit right now? You clearly see the umbrella right there, right? Like, you see how it's not broken? Or actually, it is broken, but it's not under him, so clearly the umbrella was moved. Or the body, at least. Why didn't you testify about the umbrella from the very beginning? Come on, if I had mentioned that, I would have been able to counter the prosecution's arguments earlier. What do you mean by that? Take another look at the crime scene photo. According to Mr. Wright, the victim fell on top of his umbrella. However, if you look closely, the umbrella is nowhere near the victim. Actually, it's by the electrical pole. You're absolutely right. The conclusion here is obvious. After the defendant left, the victim moved from where he fell. In other words, after he was pushed by the defendant, Mr. Swallow was still alive. No! How's it going, rookie killer, who we've already beaten several times before? Unless this is a different pain. I don't think it's a different pain, though. Order! 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 The victim! He moved! Mr. Payne, the umbrella in this photo, where is it now? Well, it was collected by the police at the crime scene. I want to present it as evidence immediately. Umbrella added to the court record. Look at how broken it is. But the umbrella could have simply been blown there by the wind! Not if a human body was laying on top of it. According to the testimony, the victim fell on top of the umbrella. There's simply no way it could have been blown there by the wind. I know this matter of the umbrella seems relatively trivial, but as long as the smallest doubt remains, I cannot render final judgment. No! However, I still find it hard to believe that a huge hole has been blown in the prosecution's case by the defendant's testimony. Phoenix's testimony added to the court record. Well done, Mia. Mr. Payne, what are you chuckling about? Pardon me, Your Honor. It seems I was expecting too much for a free ride. It was foolish to think I could establish guilt through cross-examination alone. I'm afraid I don't follow what you're saying. He's gonna bring in Dolly and be like, oh, well, actually, I guess if we have to do Dolly, I'm gonna have to give her the any-mini voice, I think. But actually, I don't know what you're following. I'm afraid I don't, follow, what you're saying, but, I think you're trying to, lead into, an awkward pause, aren't you?